Yeah.
Let's get this shit show on the road.
Yeah. Woo woo.
3, 2, 1. And we're live.
And we're live. Hello and welcome to YDKBTR YouTube channel. This is our perfectly cocked D&D stream because we're all stuck at home and so can't get round the table. We need the social interaction. This is my chaos crew, my chaos monkeys, my group of players. We are unfortunately missing one due to technical issues, which makes me super sad. But we'll go around. We'll do a quick intro for each of the characters, and we'll start with Vondel, please.
Vondel, Dwarven Cleric of Corellon. Yeah, that's about it.
Solid.
Nice. I am Mira Jane, a half elf, half drow elf monk rogue. Hi.
Ash.
I am Ash, half-elf druid and firestarter.
True story.
I am Coda, Tiefling Bard.
Sure. And I am Nisra, human warlock. Token human.
Yes, for today's game, hopefully not the next. You are the token human.
I am the token human.
Right. Last we left off, you guys had investigated some missing persons. Being the good guys that you are, you were, trying to find out their whereabouts and see if there was something that needed dealing with. You investigated a butcher in the field ward who seemed to be connected, and long story short, broke in, did really well, amazingly well, until one of your party was squished by a triceratops, and then things got weird, and you were basically all thrown out of a window at some point or ran out the back door and set the place on fire as you left. All of you retreating in your own individual ways back to Trollskull Manor. You found yourselves cooking dinner, having a drink, and reminiscing of how that could have gone in no worse, to be fair, I don't think. As always, the way I run my games, it's open sandbox. You guys have your characters. You can do whatever you like. So the game, and therefore the world, is yours.
Have we had a long rest?
This is kind of the mid kind of evening, so the bar's kind of just shutting down. You guys are unwinding down in preparation for taking a long rest.
I would like a long rest. It's been a long ass day.
That'd be good.
I'll just take my drink and... Well, that could have gone worse.
True.
How?
Also could have gone better, but okay.
I'm not sure how it could have gone worse, but...
We're all still alive.
Exactly.
Yeah, no thanks to you.
Let's never talk of this again.
Talk of what?
Exactly.
You know when a Tyrannosaurus dinosaur just appeared?
No.
Yeah, that thing's heavy.
Yeah, that caught me off guard.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Sorry.
Mostly. Nothing that a sleep won't fix.
Yeah.
I just want to clarify. I don't think that Agora and I saw this. What?
Nothing happened.
Right. Okay.
You were in the room, weren't you, when the Triceratops appeared? Because you'd asked. Oh no, you jumped out the window.
Yep.
They were definitely summoning things. So the source of all the dinosaur meat is being summoned in. And, yeah, one of them got summoned on top of our dwarven friend.
Right.
They were definitely up to something no good. So I guess what you did, and burning it down was okay. They just weren't up to the no good that we thought they were up to.
Does anyone not have the chaotic alignment?
Yeah.
Travel.
I don't have the chaotic alignment.
I believe
I'm
I
just
do.
neutral-ish.
Neutral-ish.
Anyway, are we any closer to finding these missing children?
No, because they've been eaten.
We
I
have
mean,
found no proof of that fact that they have been eaten. We found proof of other things being eaten, but
I've
not
got
kids
no
yet.
proof they haven't been eaten.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. That logic is causing me a headache. I am going to have an early night, I think.
Do we have any thoughts for tomorrow?
Let's not burn anything down, I suppose, would be a good start.
Not unless we have to.
I can hold fire. I mean, you guys did good work in the fields finding the scarecrow patch to begin with. So I mean, you know, is that still an issue? Do we know?
Well,
I
we
believe it
I
is
think we
still
just,
an issue.
I think we destroyed what was causing it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, it was like 2 months ago.
Right.
It felt like 2 months ago.
It was last night.
I suppose we can have a look and see if there's anything else available for us to have a look and do.
Yeah. I mean, are you part of our crew now? Are you like just staying with us?
I mean, I'm keeping my eye on you guys.
Says the woman who burnt down a butcher.
Yeah. I mean, feel free to keep an eye on me if you can.
Yeah, that might be worthwhile.
Yeah. I'm gonna go to bed too. I've still got a hangover and I'm still drunk. I'm both at the same time. It's very confusing.
I will see you all in the morning. I'm going to bed.
Good night.
We're going to head off.
Okay.
I'll walk out the back door and head home.
Okie doke.
Head up to my room.
Yeah, I'll head up to my balcony of the trees.
Okay. Nisra, as you enter your room and start getting ready for bed, you notice a small silver skull that's normally in one of your pockets on a bedside unit.
That's weird. I check my pockets. Is it gone?
Yeah, you don't find the one you normally have.
I'm gonna go pick it up and look at it.
Okay. As you look at it, it now seems to have some engravings upon it.
Okay. Do I recognise the engravings?
They don't seem to be words. It's more symbols. It's nothing that you know off the top of your head.
Okay. I'm gonna sit and fall asleep with it, trying to figure out how the hell it got out of my pocket and when.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. You guys wake up in the morning, slightly stiff and sore as you try and go to sleep from your escapade yesterday. The morning, surprisingly breezy. There seems to be a strong wind. You can smell the sea of the salt air coming in from the bay. Ash, being the Outlander druid that you are, it feels like the air's got a charge of energy to it, and that there's a storm coming in possibly in a couple of days, which isn't uncommon for this time of year for where you are.
I'm going to cast Druidcraft to predict what the weather will be like for the next 24 hours.
So for the next 24 hours, there will be strong winds and kind of a gentle sea spray in the air. It's less kind of wet and more just the taste and smell of the sea. yeah, for the next 24 hours, it's just going to be very windy.
Who sleeps in the? Don't we have a tower or something?
Yeah, there is a small kind of like circular tower that's part of the tavern.
I
Gonna
can't remember
head
who
up.
lives where.
I can't remember either.
I'm gonna head up to the tower and take a look, make sure there's no loose tiles on the roof.
Okay, cool. You kind of stand on the edge of the tower and kind of look up, and you guys had it refitted not too long ago. Seems to have done a fairly good job. I mean, they're not beautiful, they're not pretty, but they're functional.
Cool.
You guys all wake up in the morning. Nisra, can you roll me a Constitution saving throw, please?
Why? I'm not good at this. I'm not good at anything.
Immediate death.
Okay. It's not awful. It's not awful. What dice? What dice?
Not that one. The one in the corner.
That one.
No, that one.
My critical roll.
Yeah, that one.
14?
Okay, cool. You wake up slightly dehydrated. There's a small niggling headache, but you reckon it will go in the next kind of hour, 2 hours.
Okay. Cool. I've had worse hangovers. I need bacon. I'm going to go find bacon.
It's roughly 9 o'clock in the morning. Your pub does not open for a few hours, and your staff have not arrived yet.
Ash,
What?
you know how to cook, right?
I know how to burn things.
Ooh, can you do crispy bacon?
I'll give it a go.
Ooh, excellent. Thank you.
Anyone else want anything?
I'll swing by the tavern for breakfast.
You not got your own place for breakfast?
Yeah.
You're weird.
Okay, Ash, roll me a... We're going to go with the D20 intelligence, and if you're proficient with cook's tools, you can add proficiency.
Nine.
Cool. Bacon, super crispy. Not particularly, pleasant to the taste. Pretty much just burnt, but, that's what Nisra asked for. Very crispy bacon.
It'll do.
And this
I
is why
come
you don't
downstairs
cook.
by the smell of burning.
Everyone has flashbacks to yesterday.
We have bacon.
Just walk into the kitchen full of smoke. I said, don't burn anything down today.
I didn't burn anything down.
Out of my kitchen. I will fix this.
This is why I didn't make any breakfast for myself.
Who's the cook of our group? I thought it was you.
Coda.
I thought so.
What have you been making?
Bacon.
Bacon. Okay. I'll start scraping the shit off the frying pan that they've just cursing and infernal.
Yeah, that's fair. Coda being the one who usually cooks, the scraping the pan takes a little while, but about 40 minutes later or so, a rather nice, pleasant, perfectly crisp bacon, some slightly kind of less cooked, just for people's preference, comes out. There's slices of bread, there's butter. You guys can have a tasty, pleasant meal for the morning.
I'm quite enjoying my burnt bacon. You did a good job, Ash.
It literally just, as soon as you bite into it, just kind of crumbles in your mouth.
Now we
Thank
know how
you.
he do
I'm
it.
enjoying Coda's bacon.
Thank you, supportive friend.
That's the first time for everything. We didn't know what it was.
Trying new things. Leave me alone.
I'm proud of you, Nisra.
Thank you.
I'll go down on the nice bacon.
That's cool.
I'll just give a little bow and put it on the table. Enjoy, my friends.
So, what are we doing today?
Do we
Eating
have any
children?
leads? We have someone working in the farm in the field district, right? Looking for more information on the missing children.
Yep.
Yeah, you
I
paid the
say-
garage.
I say we give him till midday and then find out what he's learned.
That's fair.
Sounds good.
Okay. And if he tells us that all of his investigations say that the Red Dragonborn ate the children, then you win, Nisra.
Oh, what do I win?
My undying respect.
Okay. 10 gold.
Okay, and if you are wrong, I will just take the 10 gold.
2 seconds, let me just check my pouch.
That's what she
Do we
said.
have a sort of group fund going on?
No,
Okay, yeah, 10
you
gold
do
fund.
not. Everything you've had so far has been equally divided between the lot of you, and you have all been tightwads keeping it to yourselves. You've all chipped in towards the regeneration of the bar, except Mira Jane, because she was not part of the group at the time.
Well, that's something at least Tom didn't bugger off with it.
That is true.
I believe Tom contributed to the lot before walking away.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, I've got access to nifty new spell, Revivify, but it's going to take 300 gold worth of diamonds if I need to cast it.
So, shopping?
That's
Well, I don't have anywhere near that amount, so I was wondering if people all wanted to sort of chip into a group fund, and then if someone dies, I can bring it back.
I can give you 100 gold to go buy it. I realise that's not 300, but it's a third of the way there.
It is. It's a good start.
I'd give you 100.
Cool.
Yeah,
Well, I've
I'll
got-
give you 100.
Okay, cool.
Hang on, what are you chipping in?
My time and learning the spells and
Wait, we haven't. What does that spell even do? We've just given you 100 gold and we don't even know what that spell does.
I haven't
That
given it
is
to
a
him
soul
yet.
spell.
it'll return someone to life with
If they're
a little
dead.
bit of help. Yeah.
If he's going to be using it on one of us, he's not going to be able to use it on himself.
That's fair. I get why he didn't contribute anything.
Okay. Yeah, I'm happy to give 100 gold for that.
I mean, I can contribute anything.
Anyone want to come with me if I go looking for some diamonds?
Yeah, I'll come.
I'll come with you. I don't trust you to shop alone.
I will take Coda and anyone else who wants to come along and go look for 300 gold worth of diamonds.
Okie dokie. Between the lot of you, as you guys kind of have this conversation, finish breakfast, your staff do start arriving for the day. As you guys are leaving, you do hear some exclamations from the kitchen about the smoke, and you hear the back door open and just the waft of cloth as they try and get the smoke out.
Did no one open the back door to let the smoke out?
Could have did, but it only helped so much.
Okay.
It was quite badly burned, just clinging to the ceilings.
Here's where I wish I took the extractor fan cantrip.
Or gust of wind.
Yeah. Between the 5 of you, you can easily enough find a store in town, especially in the kind of north district that you guys are in. You got, bear with me. Cordas Chin is the owner of a jewelry store in this quarter. Small dwarf fellow, constantly kind of one eye always squinting. You can see, like, as you guys walk in, he's appraising a couple of gems on the counter and talking to a couple of people. As he takes kind of this little extended monocle out of his eye, the squint that holds it there still continues. He's been doing this so long, it's just natural. That's how his eye is now formed, just permanently around the monocle. And you can look around. There's loads of different pieces. There's rings, there's necklaces, brooches, bangles. All seem to be varying qualities, but all of them rather nice. Most of them locked in cabinets. But yeah, this is where you could easily find yourself a 300 gold diamond if you so wish.
I walk up to the counter.
Okay.
Good morning, Master Dwarf.
Good morning. What can I help you fine folks with?
Well, my young dwarven friend here is looking for a diamond worth 300
Oh,
so that he might carry out his good lord's work.
his good lord, and kind of looks over Vondel and sees kind of the holy symbol on the armor, and kind of you can see his brow furrow for a second in confusion.
Just lean in and I go, I know, it's a long story.
To each their own, I guess. I've got no qualms. Bear with me 1 second, and he kind of kneels down a little bit, unlocks a drawer, pulls out and puts this little tray on the countertop, and you can see one slightly larger gem, not as neatly cut, not quite as clear, and then 2 smaller ones that are much clearer and much nicer cut. He says these should suffice for the holy needs of your party.
I just look at the large, unclear one. No, you say size does not matter. It's not cut quite so well. Discount perhaps?
These are all the same price. That one is larger and not as pretty as the others, but it is larger to offset the fact it is not as nice. But they are all 300 gold pieces.
I think we can do a little better. At 250.
Roll me a persuasion check.
Can I give him advantage if I flash my boobs?
If you flash what?
My boobs.
You have to roll
No.
insight to see if the wolf is into that.
24.
24, nice. He kind of looks at you and for holy works, I can do 280.
The basis of all holy work surely is charity. 65?
This
Alright.
this sly grin kind of spreads across his face, like, you drive a hard bargain. I like that. Okay, I can, yes. All right, 265.
Okay. I take out 65 from my purse and then turn to Wandel. 200, please, Wandel.
I'll hand over what the others gave me.
Okay.
I'll pay it.
And I'll just fold in one of my pamphlets as well.
Instantly notices it and kind of looks at it and puts it down to one side, like, I'm sure I'll have time to read that.
I'll just smile.
And do you need a bag for it, or are you okay to store it
Is it
yourselves?
5 copper pieces a bag? Because I refuse.
No, it is not. And he pulls out a very, very simple kind of, looks like almost velvet on the inside, but it's a leather pouch that's just slightly kind of padded and protected. And tell you what, and he just puts it in, pulls the string, and there you go, just hands it to Code. It's like, thank you very much for your business today. Is there anything else I can help you with?
Not for the moment, but I might have a look around later.
We are open most business hours until the sun goes down usually. Feel free to pop back by.
Thank you. I pass the patch to Vondel.
Excellent. Took it away.
Thank you for the battle of wits, my friend.
No worries, it's always good to find customers who are savvy with their shopping as opposed to the usual quality around here.
Of course. Feel free to pop by Troll's Gold Manor for a pint on the house.
Very generous. Have to be high standards of ale, but I shall let you know.
Jolly good. I'll head off.
Before I turn around, I'll just say, "Come along, bless you, my friend," and walk out.
And you, friend.
Thank you.
I don't think I've ever asked you. I'm going to say this is walking down the street. Coraline? You?
Didn't I go over this like ages ago?
Probably, but we weren't
Possibly got
listening.
Frank and slept since then.
You know, it's that old story, parents killed on a trading trip, taken in by the elves, grew up in the elven monastery, you know, that old thing.
Yeah, I've heard that story a million times.
It's a tale as old as time.
Yeah, it really is.
It's a lot more difficult when the elf is adopted by the dwarven. A lot of banged heads.
Okay. So, is it midday yet?
Can I make a couple of purchases?
Of course.
Just briefly, I would like to purchase another oil flask to replenish and another set of ball bearings, if I may, just to top up. I mean, I've got extra of each, but I just feel like while I've got time, I should top up the kitty.
Yeah, of course, no worries. They're pretty easy to find. A load of kind of general stores, pretty much any quarter of town, you'll find them in.
Perfect.
So you can go mark off the gold for that.
Wonderful. And
Anything else you got?
also, actually, while I'm thinking about it, is there any supplies that I can look to start learning how to craft, like healing potions with my alchemist kit?
You can look for supplies. Alchemy kits are generally used for, although they can be used for potions and ores and stuff, it's more of a herbalist kit role. There's similar kind of components to both, so it'd be easy enough to pick up a couple of extra different components to kind of make either one or the other. The herbalism kits generally have more kind of things have to sit and kind of infuse, whereas the alchemy kits are more kind of potent and you combine stuff to make them slightly more reactive. So the alchemy kits for kind of quicker potion production as opposed to the herbalism kit. But yeah, I mean, you know of one store near your manor that sells supplies, or you can have a look around for another one in town if you so wish.
No, I'm happy to pop to the other one. If they can provide a recipe so I can start learning and some initial supplies so I can try and work my way around it, that'd be perfect.
Okay. You head back towards Troll's Gold Manor. What's everyone else doing?
I'm heading back to the pub.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
We're such a pub-orientated party.
Own the pub. I mean, we
Yeah.
do. You don't.
I don't think I've been in a party that hasn't been pub orientated.
So,
But we have a narrative reason for being in the pub so much.
That is true. You don't just have a problem. Okay, Mira Jane, you go to Carlon's Crown, just down the road in Trollskull Alley. Enter, and you see Fala stood behind the counter, as always. The wood elf with long braided hair, who you've seen several times in the tavern talking to Ash.
Mhm.
They greet you, and is there anything I can help you with today?
Yes, I'm looking to learn how to put my alchemist kit to a slightly different use to what I'm normally used to. I want to start learning how to aid, assist, and potentially heal people if possible. And I'm just looking for some help and guidance on where to start learning how to do this. I know it's going to take a while, but I feel like it's probably best to start now, just before it gets an emergency.
You've been having some troubles lately, have you?
Sorry, I couldn't hear that.
Have you been having some troubles lately? Have you getting yourselves into some scrapes?
No more than usual, but I fear the group I'm with can lead towards more trouble than I'm care to head face on.
Okay, fair enough. Have you got your kit with you? I can see what you're missing, and
Yeah, certainly.
okay. And they spend 10 minutes going through your kit and pulling out a few extra kind of distillation vials and extra tubing. It will be an extra 15 silver for the additional supplies to produce antitoxins and potions of healing.
Okay.
And the fella asks if you kind of know how to use it for the purpose that you're wanting to use, or do you need kind of instruction and guidance in?
Instruction and guidance would be much appreciated at this current time. I mainly, I normally use it for other means, but I'm a starter, so it'd be nice to have some guidance and tips, if you may.
Okay. I mean, I have some small written instruction leaflets, or I do occasionally do sessions where I work with people to, teach the making of certain potions and stuff. If that works for you, it is entirely up to you.
Yes. When's the next workshop? And how much is the entrance fee?
It will be. Give me a second. It is in 3 days' time,
Okay.
and it is 40 gold pieces for the session.
Yeah. Oh, I'm happy to front that. Yeah, that'd be perfect.
Okay. Come back here just as the sun sets. I'll close the store and we can go through creating some things.
Wonderful. Thank you. That'd be
Okay,
perfect.
no worries.
I'll write that down. 3 days.
You need a little appointment card.
Yeah. You know me. Perfect. Thank you very much.
Anytime. Say hi to Ash for me.
I certainly will do.
Oh, is this them?
Group in the pub. What are you guys up to?
Not going anywhere near the kitchen.
I feel like it was a good attempt for your first attempt at cooking. You just need more practice.
I think if I'm going to practice, it'll be outside.
Well, we can do that. I mean, we haven't left the town for a while, but next time we go out, it'll be fine.
I mean, there's a small little yard out back. You can create a little, fire pit if you so choose.
Cody's going to start having post-traumatic stress if we open up a campfire.
Yeah.
I can control
like
fire.
home.
I can't control the food, that's the problem.
Can you not create any food or water?
Only berries.
It's better than nothing. And the pinch berries, I'm sure are helpful. Okay, so what are we doing today?
Lying low?
to talk to our friend on the inside of the field?
I think that was the plan, wasn't it?
Yes, it was, I think.
Cool. Cool. Where? Are we going to the fields or?
I'll go to the fields.
Okay.
I like going outside.
Yeah. Maybe you can practice your cooking. Or not.
I like this new Misra.
That doorbell is really bloody annoying. We've got so many customers.
Sorry, that's my phone.
No, it's customers.
Ring for attention.
It's open.
Okay, so you guys want to go out towards the Field Warden Undercliffs and see if you can find Ziraj?
Give me 1 second, back in a sec.
Alright.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Well,
I think so.
Because I'll join in. Search for contact.
Yes, as you guys Mira Jane walks into the tavern, you guys starts stand up and heading to leave and explain your plan. You walk towards the north of the city, out towards the field wards. Looking for Ziraj. Someone give me a charisma-based investigation check, please.
Ooh, I'll do it. The only other person with charisma has gone AFK.
I've got a little bit.
Investigation.
I've got a tad, but
Oh, this
I'm
is
better
going
at
to
other
be
things.
good.
So fuck it.
12 plus 3 is 15 plus 4. 19.
Cool. Asking a few questions around, you do get pointed towards the Undercliff Fields. As far as anyone knows, that's where Ziraj was last seen. He started to work on the fields out there with a few different families. You guys walk out the main city gates and head down southeast towards where you were told to be. Takes a little while, but eventually you start walking towards, again, that small military training outpost camp that you saw before, and you can see a handful of people, off in the fields just off the side of the road, and you do see Siraj as part of them.
Cool. I'll just wave, see if he notices.
No one seems to notice that you're there. They're all busy seem to be sowing seeds and thinning out seedlings, all heads to the ground.
I'll go and up alongside Ziraj and look like I'm assisting.
Okay, roll me a performance check with disadvantage.
Oh, no deception check. Okay. Performance check with disadvantage. It's still not bad. Okay, that was good. Okay. 16 was the lowest roll, so it's a 20, unnatural 20 total.
Okay, cool. Instantly moving in the field next to Ziraj and copying the movements. From where are you guys following Mira Jane into the field, or are you just staying on the road?
Stay on the road.
Okay.
Yeah, stay on the road.
Okay. Sweet. From what you guys can see, instantly just seems to be one of the workforce on the field, blends in really well. Ziraj looks a little bit shocked, but carries on doing exactly what he was doing. Just looks at you and is like, what can I help you with?
My friends over there would like a conversation regarding any updates. So if you chuck the seeds to me, I'll carry on. Pretend like you never left.
Okay. It has only been a day since I saw you guys last. I haven't got that much information, but I'll go see them. And he hands you this small basket of seedlings. and leaves the field, heading towards the road to the remaining party.
Yeah, I'll just carry on sewing them,
That's cool.
doing what needs to be done.
Ziraj approaches, waves, and greetings. What can I help you with?
Any word? Information?
Nothing so far. Things seem to be quiet at the moment. Nothing last night. No scarecrow interactions that anyone has talked about. People are still wary, but nothing so far.
We think we may have taken care of the scarecrow thing. Not 100% on that.
I am. We've taken care of the scarecrow.
In that case, it will be very much appreciated by the people out here. You've given me enough. I can spend a few more days hanging around, helping these guys with their work, and wait and see if anything happens. If not, then your assumption is probably correct.
Oh no, it's correct. Children.
Yes, what about them?
They still going missing?
I've had no new reports, but it sometimes takes a couple of evenings of loosening tongues to find out any new information.
Any tricklings of information that they've been eaten?
That they what? Sorry.
That they've been eaten.
Not that I'm aware of. Unless the person doing the eating has been announcing themselves, I don't see how anyone would know that.
Interesting.
Is this something that you guys have found out? Is this...
So it's a very, very high possibility that there's a red dragonborn in town eating them.
Well, that's what she thinks anyway.
99%.
To her.
Okay.
About 2% to everyone else.
So average it out, there's a 50-50 chance.
I assume you're talking about Akrog and the butchers?
Yes.
Okay. I will ask around, but I will not be able to get my old job back there, so
I wouldn't recommend it.
I don't think there's much of a there to go back to.
Yeah, I can't imagine he's hiring at the moment.
Leave your CV at the doorstep. He'll take him in.
Did you guys shut it down?
Less shut down, more set on fire.
Oh, that's how you guys deal with things. Okay.
Sometimes.
It's good to know. I haven't been in the city since I left it yesterday lunchtime. We tend to stay out in the fields, and there are small, and you can see small kind of shacks where the farm hands will kind of all gather and kit for a few hours kind of throughout the day to continue the food production for the city. A couple of days I can head back in and assess the damage.
Damaged, yeah. That will be your assessment. Damaged.
I'm assuming he'll try and move his business elsewhere, and I
Oh my
don't
god, guys,
know.
I've got the best idea.
Oh dear God. Gods.
No, because like, we know he's been eating these kids, right? But I don't reckon he eats bones, because that would be weird. But he wouldn't take the bones out because they'd get found. So there'd be kids' bones that wouldn't get burned in the ruins. Yeah.
I see the approach in that. not so much the logic behind it, but I see where you're coming from.
Oh.
I'm just going to be quiet. I'm not going to talk again.
I suppose we could get one of our stealthy people to disguise themselves and then go investigate the ruin? What remnants? Not me.
Oh no, it's about to mess up.
Yeah, that's not good.
Bowen's probably the street guy.
I mean, you guys are on your own. I'm set here for the next couple of days, and ideally, I'll be working with them for 2 weeks. But I can take time out in the city to help you guys where I can.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Okay.
I think carry on with what you're doing and we'll investigate Nisra's suspicions.
I have total faith it'll go entirely well.
We don't.
Already kind of like turning on his heel and kind of almost that Homer Simpson backing slowly through the bush, kind of takes a few steps back and then turns and walks back into the field, rejoins Mira Jane and takes the basket back and continues doing the spreading out of the seedlings.
Come back.
Yeah, as soon as I've transferred, I'll hit the road.
Hit the road, Jack.
I will. Yeah, I'll rejoin the group and yeah.
Okay.
So, did we learn anything much?
Red Dragonborn is definitely eating children.
Right. Did anyone else learn anything at all?
No.
Okay.
We did not definitely not learn anything about the Dragonborn.
Yeah. Did we learn anything in terms of anyone else going missing since you guys dealt with the issue?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
Nothing hasn't heard anything since we think we've dealt with the issue.
Promising, but you know, we can always.
It did take, might be a couple of days before we hear anything anyway.
Yeah. It makes sense. But so it's a promising start at least. Shall we?
So, right, the plan is we're going to go to the dead butchers and find baby bones. But we need someone stealthy to do it, and apparently that's you.
Why? Why would we want to do that?
To prove once and for all that I am correct.
More of the royal we.
I'm just going to sort of flap my arms a second, and the clanking of the splint mail. I'm just going, yeah, I don't think I'm doing that.
Have you ever thought about taking your armour off?
No.
It would be so loud. You'd probably be easier to hit, but you wouldn't be so loud.
Sort of the point is that when I get hit, I don't die as quickly.
Yeah, but you wouldn't be as loud.
So I mean, I can certainly go into the butchers and have a look around if we really want, but I feel like, is it necessary that we go back? I mean, last time we went there, it went so well, and yes, I ended up setting fire to the place for reasons, but I mean, is it necessary to go back? Have we not done enough there?
Look, you seem like the lawful sort. No, you don't, but anyway, go with it.
There's a set of code.
If someone was possibly eating children,
Mm-hmm.
would you not want to find out for certain That they're not eating children.
As long as he doesn't set shop up in the town I'm taking care of the people in, no.
But what if he is in that town?
Then I set fire to the building.
But he's still around and will still be eating children.
I doubt he'll be setting shop up in this
But he
particular
will still
locale
be
soon.
eating children.
As long as they're not the children I'm looking over, it's not my problem.
But they were.
Mm-hmm. And I've set the town and I've set the building on fire to refrain
But he's
from
still
again.
alive.
Certainly, I mean there are other things that eat children out there that I necessarily haven't burnt their village down about, but
Who else eats children? Is that like a thing?
have you not heard stories of the wild? Of old dragons,
Yeah.
of ancient monsters that dwell in ancient ruins and forests long forgotten.
Are those ancients as well?
I don't go setting the forest down on fire, no.
But they're not
I
human.
set the
You
building
better
on
not.
fire and they move on.
They're not humanoid.
I think that's rather racist, really. Aren't you rather dwarvenoid?
I'm being quiet again.
There's a code, that's all. And as long as it's not in my region, do what you like. If it starts to impact me in my area, then certainly we start to have a problem, and then, you know, things start to heat up. But necessarily while it's not in my area, then live and let live. So what's our plan for the rest of the day? Is there anything else we can check up on? Or is there anything else we can necessarily do? Have anyone got any quests or anything they'd like to do? Just always a heads up, in 3 days I'm busy. Just thought I'd give you a heads up. At about, probably about 6 o'clock, Ash, and just as a heads up, your lady says, hey, I'd probably go bang that soon, otherwise she might start looking elsewhere. Just as a heads up. I mean, you know. But I've got a workshop in terms of how to learn new potions and things to assist the group. I'm learning how to make health potions, but it's a slow process, so I'm asking for help.
If you need any ingredients, I can help with that.
Oh, thank you very much. That's incredibly lovely of you.
Well,
I have asked you.
Herbalism, I know how to use herbalism and stuff.
Well, yeah. I mean, so you got herb. Wow, yeah. I might be taking you up on that as soon as I learn how to do it. But as I say, I'm there learning that at the moment. I've bought some stuff to assist in future, so as long as I can keep on top of that, I can try and do my best. But
Well, I'm going to try growing some stuff in the back. Hopefully it might have some healthy benefits.
oh, perfect. If you need anything, let me know, and I'll try and acquire
Don't forget
some
some-
stuff for you.
Get some seeds of the various ingredients and then
Oh, yeah.
you can grow it.
Perfect. But would anyone else like to do anything or put anything on a list for the group at all?
I don't think I've got anything for the group, really, but after what Nisra said about sneaking into places, I might see if I can do anything about this and just wave my arm and clank, 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 clank.
Yeah.
Have you thought of padding on the inside?
That's sort of what I was wondering, but I don't know really where to start with that. I know something about blacksmithing, but that's really more adding more metal to the metal. I don't think that's going to help. You got any suggestions?
Would it be something I could assist in helping him, since I know my way around sneaking and stuff? I don't know armor, but he knows armor. So can we put our heads together to try and develop something?
You could certainly try. You sit down with a couple of sheets of parchment and some ink and, kind of brainstorm some ideas and see what you come up with.
Okay. Well, I'm more than happy to help and offer my expertise in the art of being unheard and unseen, if you'd like.
That sounds like a good idea, really.
You do remember there is a blacksmith in Trollskull Alley that Vondel, you had been to previously.
That's right. Do you want to take a walk with me? And we'll go and see the chap down the road?
Yeah, certainly. More than happy to.
We'll head over there then.
Okay, cool. Nisra and Ash, where are you guys going to head?
As we're out in the fields, I'm going to go for a wander and look for lots of any herbs or stuff like that are growing out in the wild, or anything unusual growing out in the wild.
Okay. Nisra?
I'm going to the butcher's.
I don't know why I bothered asking. I should have asked. Okay.
Go with me.
Cool. So the three of you head back into the city. Two of you branching off towards. Nisra? Are you kind of like subverting the group and trying to do this kind of on the down low, or are you just going to be like, "Well, this is my turning, see you guys later"?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Vondel and Mira Jane, as you kind of get to the end of the side road that the butcher's was on, Nisra's just like, "I'll catch you guys up later," and turns and walks down this side road as you guys continue to head into the city proper.
I'll yell after her. You know where we're going if you need assistance.
Yeah.
Don't get it locked in any fridges again.
They're all burnt down, so I'm good.
Don't know if I burnt the fridge down, just the woodwork.
It'd be fine.
Right.
Cool. Ash, how long do you want to spend out in the fields?
A couple of hours at least.
Okay, cool. Roll me a survival check.
Natural 20.
Oh, yeah.
Plus 6.
Sweet
right.
rolls.
Yes. So, you do find a small group of fungus, like mushroom type plants. With that, you identify them to be something known as corpse bomb.
Corpse what, sorry?
Corpse bomb, B-O-M-B.
Okay.
They are very difficult to harvest. Disrupting them too much, it makes them explode and release their spores into the air, and can be very toxic when it does that. But they are useful in creating small alchemical fires.
I'll have a go at harvesting some carefully.
Okay, cool. Make me
I'll
another
cast
survival
guidance on me
check.
first. What do we do also?
Survival check, please.
Okay, I don't believe this, but I just rolled a nat 20 again.
Congratulations, you don't kill yourself. You managed to harvest
Plus
3
1,
units.
plus 6.
Nice, cool. Yeah, you managed to get 3 units of corpse bomb.
Nice, you're going to turn out to be a good herbalist garden.
That's what I'm working on.
Starting to get a nice little collection of seeds and cuttings. Cool. Nisra, you're second closest to your objective. She's no longer sat on the sofa.
Hi.
Hello. Right, you get towards the butcher's and you can see there is kind of a barricade around the front of it, trying to keep people out. The woodwork is all completely burnt. The windows are broken. And the kind of rough stone structure that quite a few of these buildings kind of has as its kind of main skeleton is still intact, but there are scorch marks on it. A bit of the wood kind of boarding and shutters of the shops kind of either side caught a little bit, but they seem to manage to get it under control before it burnt down the whole street.
Cool.
What would you like to do?
I'd like to go somewhere I won't be seen.
Okay, cool. You can nip down a couple of small alleys between buildings and almost kind of near the back alley that you guys broke in through last time.
Cool. I'm going to spend an hour and 10 minutes casting Find Familiar.
Okay. In that case, we'll come back to good towing, Vondel and Mira Jane. Vondel and Mira Jane, you make your way through the city and arrive at the Steam and Steel on Trollskull Alley. You know the forge is operated by a fire genasi and water genasi, a couple named Embrick and Avi. One is a armourer and one is a weaponsmith. Kind of that's their specialities. That's the guilds that they're members of. But they both work the same forge and help each other out.
Which was which?
The fire genasi is Embrick and is the weaponsmith, and Avi is the armourer and is the water genasi.
Lovely, thank you.
As you guys approach the front of the building, you can see them. It's not an argument as much, but kind of a little bit of disagreement. You can see them kind of like pointing to different tools on the walls, and you see the hands kind of moving about in the air. And then Avi kind of walks off out to the front of the building, just stands outside, kind of out of the way of the building, kind of next door for a few minutes, and just kind of closes his eyes. You can just see him kind of taking deep breaths to calm down.
Well, have you been here before? Do you know these guys?
Yeah, I think I kind of know these guys, don't I?
Yeah, you've been definitely once, I think maybe twice you've been, kind of spoken with them, introduced yourselves. They did, it must have been twice, because on the second time you visited, they said if you want help kind of learning more skilled variations of forge work, because you also, although you're dwarven heritage, you know more of the elven side of things.
Yes, yeah.
Being raised there, so they can kind of show you stuff, dwarven methods to craft, but they can also show you some methods that they use from kind of different cultures around the world.
So I think as we're approaching, Avi, is everything all right?
He kind of looks up and says, just Embrick being as hot-headed as ever. We're trying to, we're just experimenting, playing around with different techniques, and we disagree on the methods of which to do it. And he who knows all and is an expert is doing it his way, and I disagree, and so I've left him to it for a minute. And kind of you can hear a hammer slamming on metal again, and then this kind of the steam quench of something being quenched inside the forge, and then you just hear a crack and a shatter. and then just like swear words, some in common, some not, emanating from the forge, and then you just hear something being kicked and then something rattling around inside the forge, and Avi just kind of smiles to himself and chuckles a little bit. And I'm guessing I might have been right.
So it would seem. We might have a little puzzle for you to solve if you're up for it.
Oh, something to test the old brain is always welcome. We're a little slow on commissions at the minute. We're up to date on the basic works. That's why we were trying to hone our techniques a little bit. What can I help you with?
So this splint mail that I got from you a little while ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's holding up all right, keeping you well.
Oh, the splint mail itself is great. No problems with it at all. Just really thinking, is there any way to quieten it down a little bit?
You meet and kind of like grabs your hands and shakes your arms a little bit, and
yeah, they clang, 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 clang. Yeah, that.
It is an unfortunate side effect of keeping oneself heavily armored. Is that you are not always as quiet as others of your team. And he kind of like takes a step back and kind of looks at you for a second, kind of runs his thumb across his chin, and then literally just kind of walks all the way around you. And you can see kind of his eyes shifted slightly in that he's looking at you, but not really seeing anything else in the world. And you can almost see the cogs whirring in his mind as if like, okay, this is something like, how would we go about doing this? Kind of steps out for a second. It's like, it's not something we've done before, but well, we can always try.
This is my friend Mira Jane. She is pretty good on the stealthy side of stuff. She's said she doesn't mind helping me out with this, so pick her brain.
Greetings, welcome. I am Avi, and the hot-headed inside is Embrick. This is our forge. If you have any ideas, we would be happy to, discuss and, plan out and have some attempts.
Of course, no, certainly. Well, thank you very much for having us along. I mean, in terms of the way I do things, I'm stealthy in the sense of, obviously you can see I'm light but fast. This is a different form, so, we were wondering in terms of kind of softening the movement side of things, whether, I don't know, some form of padding, or whether there would be some other material that we could use which would provide necessarily the same level of protection, but possibly a dampened sound. So I'm quite good at moving unnoticed and unseen, whether it's blending or I do my bits. But I'm just looking to try and help my friend here, who unfortunately sometimes takes a battering for being noticed too much.
Materials-wise, that's a lot simpler to do, but is a lot more expensive. There are materials that are lighter in weight, therefore quieter, that we could make splint out of. It would cost a lot, though. Depends how much you're willing to outlay. Of course, that's less of a challenge as to modifying a current piece of armor, but it's entirely up to that. Will obviously take longer, but maybe cheaper.
Just so we obviously know the both outcomes, how much would it be for a new set, and how much would it be to modify the current set?
Full new piece. Kind of thinks for a second. It's like, come into the forge, sit down, and we'll try and weigh up the differing costs. You can see Embrick kind of just sat at the back, kind of just staring at this handle that's got this broken kind of blade on it. and on part of the fort, like the floor of the workshop, you can see different shards of blade. Abby walks in, points you guys to a couple of seats, pulls out his kind of ledger book and starts flicking through.
Before we start, do you guys want a hand with that?
It's fine. He kind of looks over at Embrick, and Embrick kind of rolls his eye and puts his head down sheepishly. He's like, "Yeah, okay, you were right. I know. Just when I get an idea, you know." And he kind of walks over and kind of like puts one hand on Avi's shoulder and like almost kind of like nuzzles his head against Avi's, and just you can hear like as he whispers in his ear, like, "I'm sorry, you know I get hothead." And kind of takes a deep breath, and Avi just places his hand on kind of the side of Embrick's and just kind of like smiles and says, and kind of gives an explanation of what you guys are looking for. Instantly, kind of Embrick's mind, as Avi did earlier, kind of stops seeing and just starts instantly thinking, trying to come up with a way to modify the splint as it is. And Avi says one material we could use to make the splint from scratch, to make it much quieter, is a thing called mithril. Very quiet, very expensive. The splint itself, and kind of pulls out a small like stick of charcoal and starts making notes on like a scrap of parchment. Kind of looks dwarf, okay, slightly smaller. 1100 gold.
1100.
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
You're not on that kind of dollar yet.
I currently have about 90.
I can fund some towards it.
Okay.
But one thing I do have is this, and I pull out the smithing tools +2.
Cool. Yeah, the masterwork tools. Nice.
Yeah. Would this be of interest to you?
And they both instantly kind of like just zone in on the tools and are kind of like almost drooling. They're like, those are, and they both kind of like, one picks up the tongs, and then the one picks up like one of the hammers. And you've got like 4 or 5 different chisels and another couple of different types of hammers in your hand, lay them on the desk. And they kind of like just look at them and then start speaking to each other. Do either of you speak Primordial?
No.
I don't think I do, but I can double check. No.
Okay. Very rapid, very guttural speaking. Both just kind of like animated. You can see the excitement in kind of their mannerisms already. They carefully kind of place each tool down back on the counter and pick up another one, and are discussing. And then they kind of look at you guys, talk a little bit, and then realize that they're not speaking in common and speak back to you guys. These are exquisite tools. Ours are nice. They help us do a very well kind of designed job. But these, where did you find them?
In someone's tomb.
Okay.
I don't think they were using them anymore. That's why I took them.
What was that, Coda?
I think I have the tools.
Okay. Let me have a quick look at this. See who's the list they're on.
So those tools were from the house, I think, with the knolls. Yeah.
Yeah. I know which
And
one.
I think I took them when we went into the crypt.
I would have assumed you had them. It being the
I've got
smith
them
on your sheet.
Yeah.
Okey-dokey. Just seeing if they're on coders.
No, I've got yours. Sorry,
Cool.
my bad.
It's all right. I like the fact we're tracking equipment. That makes my heart really big. I like that. Okay. You see if you found them in a tomb? These aren't stolen, are they?
The tomb was part of this big house, a big sort of estate. The whole place had been overrun with gnolls. we took care of the gnolls, and you know, as part of our spoils, we took these.
I start to look thoroughly impressed.
You can see them both, as soon as you kind of mentioned that the house was overrun by gnolls, they both kind of relax a little bit. Finder's fees and kind of adventurers taking spoils as payment is more common and more socially acceptable than actual stolen goods.
Yeah, we didn't do any grave robbing, just sort of off the cuff, you know.
Yeah. And they kind of look at them both, then switch back to primordial, and they start discussing a little bit, and then they both kind of switch back to common. And Avi's like, okay, I mean, if you wish to give them to us in exchange as payment, or simply to kind of for this one-time use to work out a way to make this armor for you.
So, what value would you give to these tools?
And if it's a permanent gift, as it were, we would say 700-800 gold pieces.
Nice.
Okay.
Still short of that bit.
Yeah.
How much do you have?
I've currently got about. I could go to like 90 gold pieces.
I can fund the rest, but pay
How much for this set of splint that I got from you? Not too long ago?
For experimentation and modification, that would be significantly cheaper. We wouldn't need full materials unless we know something works, and it would be a case of just trial and error. We can use bits of scrap.
Well, if you're making the mithril set for me, then I wouldn't really need these. So
no, is he as part exchange?
yeah.
Okay. It's been some use, but it's still good quality because it is ours. Let's say 80 gold pieces.
So
120 short, 130 short.
something like that.
I mean, I've got some money that I'm not spending anything on. Would you like some nice mithril armor?
I mean, well, yes, of course. But it would also, I think, be beneficial overall for the group. But
I will happily fund you the rest, the 130 that you're missing.
what I was going to offer was also my time as a smith. I have a little experience, you know that, I think. I mean, if you take some of my time in part exchange, as well as this lovely set of tools and this lovely set of armor.
And once again, they kind of like start talking to each other in promo, and then like Embrick kind of turns to you and we're not being rude. It's just it's quicker, and then continues back in primordial for a second. Now you're asking me to do some quick crafting maths.
I like this. This is great bartering by Bondle. This is really cool.
I love the fact you're like, I'm going to lay out as little gold.
You're more than welcome to take into account the depreciation of the splint mail that I'm currently wearing.
Oh, I already have.
With the.
That's why you're getting 80 gold for it.
Well, I mean, with sort of the continued wear while you're crafting the mithril.
So.
I was going to say, don't just hand it over now and walk around in
No.
jeans.
Yeah,
and
no,
shirt.
yeah.
It's fine.
Okay. Not having seen you smith and not having seen your work, we trust you can smith, but there's quality limits for minimum requirements for joining the guilds of our fair city. If we spend a few days working with you and determine that your skill is sufficient to aid, say 2 10 days and a half, so two and a half weeks to craft.
As long as you're happy to sort of take them between what we do,
We can
sort of on the adventuring side of things.
we can do it outside of our usual hours. Call it a side project.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Yes, the 2.5 weeks takes into account that it won't be kind of the focus of their work, and it's more kind of like a few, maybe like 4 hours an evening, like over several periods of time to create like individual pieces.
Yeah.
So that would, yeah, and you've got 90 gold that you're putting in.
Yeah.
Cool. So that. So let's say.
Model, do you only have 90 gold?
Yeah. Basically, it's because I spent it all on armor and weapons last time.
Take that back. Take that back. I will fund you for 90 because I've got money that I'm not spending anything on. So
Okay.
I will put in the 90 for you. You keep
Taking
that.
all of that into account, you will have to put forward another 40 gold pieces.
I'll put 130 in then. That's fine.
Okay.
Very kind of you, Mira.
It's alright. I've got money that I'm not spending on much. I'm buying small trinkets, like stock up of,
Yeah.
of poisons.
Buying components and making stuff yourself as opposed to buying the finished product.
Yeah.
Big difference between like casters and frontline melee.
Mate, I'm frontline melee, but I don't have to buy much because I don't wear armor, so it's cheaper.
Okay, so yeah.
I will happily put forward the 130 gold.
130 gold pieces, the tools, at the end of it, your splint mail that you're currently wearing,
Yep.
and then 2.5 weeks worth of evenings in the forge.
I'll
Yep.
Put the 130 on the desk now.
Cool.
Get that over.
I hand over the tools as well.
Cool. Embrick takes the ledger and actually tears a page out of it and kind of gets a piece of string and, oh no, we've got measurements from, and they talk again in primordial and kind of flick back through and on this kind of pulled out piece of paper, he sketches out your sizes, the requirements, and kind of makes additional details, and then kind of folds it and puts it in a pocket inside his kind of like leather vest, and says, it's not off the books, but it's something that will keep quieter, shall we say.
Not a problem.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for your time and your business. We look forward to seeing you come on in, and we'll make pieces as and when you've got the time. And if we have spare hours in the evenings, we can, if we're bored, we can always throw a few pieces together for you. Without your
Fantastic.
help. Great. Thank you, guys. Anything else?
I think that's it from me. Mira, do you need anything?
I was just wondering if you know of anywhere I can potentially look, or if you've heard of anything that I can potentially pick up that I might wear that can assist in returning daggers to me.
Dagger.
Well, at the moment I'm throwing them and having to go and pick it up, and it's a real nightmare.
And they chuckle, and we totally understand the inconvenience of having to collect projectiles. Magics of that sort, the items for that is rarer. I mean, there are mages who can temporarily enchant items that will work occasionally, but
I mean, don't get me wrong, I have gold, but I don't think I have that much at the moment. And I don't have a lot to trade at this point. However, what my thought was, is there a possibility of having a simplistic bladed boomerang style that's like a dagger that I can use to try and assist in that?
A bladed boomerang?
Yeah, like a bladed boomerang that's basically like a dagger that I can use to throw at a range that will come back to me, so I don't have to pick it up in the heat of a fight?
Embrick kind of like doesn't fully sit, but kind of just leans against the stool and just stares at Avi for a second, kind of drumming his fingers on the countertop. And like, I mean, we've not made something like that, but I've seen a couple of pieces of that type. I don't see why we couldn't, figure out how to make something like that.
I mean, if you could, that'd be. Well, just double check, DM. Would that fall under a simple monk weapon, or?
I'd allow it to be basically a dagger that just comes back to you.
Okay.
I think there are actual boomerangs in the game, but we can look up stats and come up with something.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. How much would that outlay me? In terms of Mirror Jane, how much would that outlay?
Them not made one, but daggers are cheap.
I mean, I can even supply my own daggers if they want.
They're not entirely like. It wouldn't be a case of retrofitting a dagger. It'd be a case of making the thing from scratch.
Okay.
How many do you want?
2, preferably.
Okay. For the items themselves, time producing, a little bit of experimentation cost on top. Say 7 gold.
Yeah, done. Can we give them 14 to try and do like an express pass?
Roll persuasion check.
Certainly. Let me have a look at what it is, because I can't remember. 23.
Okay. Yeah, kind of Avi flicks through the book and kind of makes a few details in 2 separate kind of locations and is like, yeah, we can squeeze in a little something for you. Should have something 5 days time.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
I think that's me, Vundel. Are you happy with your purchase? Is there
Yep,
anything else you need?
I think that's everything for now. Let's head back to the pub.
Yeah, sounds wonderful, sir.
Cool.
Should we swing by to double check that fridge lady's not stuck in one again?
Might be worthwhile, considering her history in fridges.
Well, yeah, this was my concern.
Let's get back to the pub, grab a pint to go, head back to the fridge.
I like the thought. I'm okay with it.
I love this group's priorities.
I'm okay. Alright, first round's on me, sir.
Hey.
Cool. Ash. So finding those mushrooms probably takes you, and like collecting them as well, takes you an hour and a half-ish. Do you want to spend longer? Just lost him. Cool. Or are you happy once you found those to head back?
Sorry, whenever someone changes their camera, my Discord kicks me out.
That's fine. I was asking, like, it takes you about an hour and a half to. Do you want to spend longer looking for stuff out there, or after you find those, are you happy with what they are to go back in?
Having the slightly explosive herbs, I think I will leave it at that.
Cool. Sensible. All right.
I think I'll
Nisra.
head back via the butcher shop, however.
Okay, via the butcher shop. That's fine.
I like how little we trust Nistra at this
I'm
point.
not the old sister of the party.
I will, however, do it in dog form.
Okay.
A different dog form to last time.
Coda, anything you want to do with this time?
I haven't been keeping up, so I'll just say that I say that.
You're at the pub.
Yeah.
Cool. Vondel and Mira Jane come back talking about armor and weapons. Wave hi to you. The other 2 have kind of stayed out in the field wards, doing their own things. And then you get told that Nisra was last seen heading towards the butcher's, and Ash was out in the actual fields collecting some herbs for his little garden out back.
We're slightly concerned she may be in a fridge again.
I mean, we did say yell loudly if she got into trouble.
Why would you go back to the scene of the crime?
It's Nisra.
Said something about finding children bones. And a bet? I don't really know.
I don't know anymore. He's not eating children.
I mean, I feel like this was
This is-
established, but even so, I mean, I'll be honest with you, 100% it got out of hand. My initial plan was just to sneak in with yourself and, I mean, have a word and teach him a bit of a lesson so he wasn't a dick anymore, and then, well, it kind of ended with a fire, but, I mean, even so, I feel like this is taking it a little too far beyond the pale that we've already burnt and shattered.
Yeah. Totally.
So we were going to grab a drink and then head back to that butcher's. Do you want to come with?
No.
Okay.
Absolutely not. We should stay as far away from that place as possible.
I mean, normally I would agree. However, my main concern is with Nisra's feeble lack of kind of group affiliation in danger. I feel like her priorities would be sell us out and save herself. That's my main concern at the moment.
What's she going to tell us out? Is she going to say that we locked her in the fridge of this burnt down shop?
I mean, no, my main concern was that she would advise that we burnt it down. I mean, I'm aware the butcher's seen us, but he doesn't necessarily know who we are.
He hasn't seen me. Well, apart from when I spoke to him before you burnt it down.
I mean, he hasn't seen me in my form.
He hasn't seen Carolyn without a beard.
True.
Not Carolyn, Fundle.
But he has seen Nisra without disguise. And, well, I mean, she's a loud character that may attract attention around town and people might know who she is.
Oh, by the gods.
Yeah. So I'm saying
Fine.
that, I mean, necessarily I'm okay, because he hasn't seen me, and I sure come into the pub but have no contractual obligation to the pub. However, Nisra and the rest of you have purchased a pub together, and a group of people have suspiciously burnt down a butcher and have invaded property. So, sure, my concern is definitely never set foot in the place again. However, my concern is also, in terms of torture, she may necessarily reveal who everyone is, and people might be able to work out ties from where Nisra is to the other group. So, I mean, sure, if you don't want to go, that's fine, but I just want to let you know why I'm saying I feel like some of us should go, at least.
Okay. Let's go.
Bring your pint.
Yeah.
Fine.
Literally almost like sippy cup tankards. They're just like this little bit. You can just slide it back so you can take a drink without spilling it. Travel cup style.
Let's go with this hinge tops on it.
What was that, Mary Jane?
Can I bring a second one for Nisra?
Yeah. You guys, Coda's kind of flippy top style tankards, all head out, booze in hands. And we will take a break before we see, with this time period, what chaos you guys arrive at. Luckily, because she was casting a ritual, based on the time you guys have spent doing your individual tasks, what can go wrong in about half an hour?
With Nisra, everything.
Let's find out.
Okay.
Stay in the chat, guys. We will be back soon.
Yeah, we're back in about 5-10 minutes.
I'm gonna turn this mic off.
I assume we're clear.
We're on Perfectly Cocked on the YouTube channel.
Sweet. Right, I'm gonna pee and have a quick cig. I'll see you guys back here in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, cool, dude. Everything all right, Bren?
Yeah.
Not entirely convincing with that, but yeah.
No, everything's fine.
Cool. My mind wine bottle's empty, so I'm gonna go and grab something else.
Okay, FYI, sound is coming through, and I don't know why, so mute your mic.
You still do? What, even now? Who can I hear? How are you finding this out?
I'm listening on YouTube.
Try this one.
Do you think if I drink enough Iron whiskey on screen, we can get sponsorship? Yeah. But it is a very nice 21-year-old. Got my little Aaron whiskey water jug, and I'm drinking my Aaron whiskey out of my little Aaron whiskey glass. I just where we're looking to move to, so you know, I can always go and ask for a meeting. I sent my CV in to them actually. They said, "Sorry, we're not looking for people at the moment." You know, totally gutted. But the brewery were a lot more sort of accepting. Well, they said, "Come up and speak to us," and then I did. And the chap who actually is in charge of things didn't read the email where I said I'm not available on Monday, and said I'll come along on Tuesday. And he, well, I went along on Tuesday. There was no one there, and I gave him a ring, and he said, "We the dates I gave you the other day were for yesterday." I was just like, that was Monday when I said I wasn't available at all. But never mind.
Why does the chat say, a tasty 21-year-old? Oh, right. Okay. Just checking. All right. I would have stayed to make sure, but I really needed to use the toilet.
Bren, I did ask. He said yes.
Ah. That's an hour. We'll catch up later. Yeah, I saw that earlier. Just want to make sure he's alright.
Do you guys mind if I send a backstory for a game that I'm going to be running with Rhodes and a load of guys from school into the group? If you wouldn't mind just having a quick look over it, let me know what you think.
Yeah, that's cool with me.
Awesome. No, so this is the background for the world. Yeah. So I'm pinching something from Critical Role, really. Literally right down to the name when you look at it. But I quite like the idea for getting players together in the first place. Rhodes has already seen it, so it's not a problem to share it with him. So. Do you have your speaker up loud? So if we ask Cad to do something, would you do it? But so if you said like, Cad, sit.
What's the hand signal for kill?
We're trying to do up with Esk when she's taking a treat. It's a bit tricky because we sort of need one person to hold the treat up and the other person to lift her up. But Abby's been walking her off the lead completely the last few days, which is nice.
Everyone ready?
Yep.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. We're back.
Hey, and we're back.
Hi.
Cool. Welcome back. We needed the break. Hope you made use of the time. We're going to jump straight back in with the chaotic chaos monkey of the group, Misra. On your own in the back alley at the back of the butcher's, you sit down, spend some time ritually casting Find Familiar.
Yeah.
What is your familiar?
A ferret.
A ferret. What does it look like? Describe this ferret to us.
He looks like a small version of Cad. So ginger and white.
Okay. Cool.
I'll just turn the camera around so people can see Cat.
All right. You summon this ginger and white ferret. You don't appear to be noticed in your little alleyway. What do you want to do?
I'm going to send Ferret to go through the debris and see if there's any sort of hidey holes in the floor that he can get in, or if he can find any bones which look child-sized.
Okay.
And see and hear through him.
Okay.
So I'm just going to zone out. Like I'm a drunk in the alleyway, if someone finds me that's just passed out. Wouldn't be the first time.
Yeah, fair. The back door is slightly damaged, so there is a gap that the ferret can fit through on the ground floor. Or if you want him to start upstairs, you can try and get him through the top window that was previously broken.
No, we'll go through the little hidey hole.
Okay, cool. Squeezes through the security gate. and then through the gap in the bottom of the door, enters into the back kind of back of the butcher shop where kind of the fridge, the storage chest, and the cutting blocks mostly were. What's the plan for the ferret? Are you looking through the eyes and controlling, or are you just okay, cool, not just sending in saying look for this and then waiting?
I'm looking through and sort of directing him to look under things and search for hidey holes or secret doors.
Okay. Doing it quietly or just completely like wild animal rummaging?
Wild animal rummaging. Wait, are there people around?
Not on the back alley that you're on, but kind of still on the side street that fronts the butchers there are. There weren't people kind of near the building, because it has been slightly cordoned off. But there's no one, as far as you're aware, in the building.
Yeah, then they're just rummaging around.
Okay. Cool. Roll me a perception check, please.
Okay.
Or investigation check. Your choice.
I've never used this spell before. Does it use mine or ferrets?
We'll use yours.
Cool, because D&D Beyond doesn't have ferret as an animal, although it advises ferret as something you can turn your familiar into. Perception. 19.
No.
Okay.
17.
I've got a 0 modifier.
Hey, natural 19.
Yay!
Okay. Looking through the back shop, there is like most of the counters are kind of really heavily damaged, especially kind of where the fire started. The ones kind of on there's kind of a few shelves on the side right hand wall, and kind of on the wall that the door's on, that are less damaged. But lots of charred rubble. You can see kind of as you're scurrying around, the meat cleavers and knives on the floors, covered in ash, some of them kind of chipped as they've fallen. Looking around this room, you can see kind of bits of kind of produce that have charred and been burnt, but no sort of trapdoors or any sort of kind of bones that seem out of place. Most of them kind of, if it was a rack of ribs, you can tell that kind of was attached as kind of a piece of produce that the shop was selling.
Okay. So when I'd been in there before, just before I got trapped in the fridge, there was another door which we didn't know where it went.
Yes, there was
the fridge, and then there's the door we hadn't explored.
No, so there's a door between the front of the shop and the back of the shop.
Yeah.
There's a door at the back of the shop to the alley that you're at.
Yeah.
And then there's the fridge door, and then the door that, at the time you guys weren't entirely sure, but is the door that goes up the stairs.
I'm gonna go up the stairs.
Okay. Give me an athletics check for the ferret.
19 again with the 0 modifier. I like this.
Nice. Manages to squeeze under the door. It doesn't seem to have been left open, but seems to kind of dropped in place as kind of the bottom of it burnt, so it's had to kind of crawl over the top of it to get through. Doesn't drop the door, so it's still in place. Doesn't look like it's been disturbed. Manages to get up the stairs into the kind of the two rooms upstairs. You can see the kind of little table and chair, the chair broken that Vondel was kind of tied to previously, and then doesn't seem to be anything in extra kind of in that room, and then goes through to the back, kind of is now almost above you, as kind of you're in the alleyway at the back of the shop. You can see again the pallets kind of all still in place on the top. You can see kind of bits of blood kind of on the top that haven't been cleaned off. You see no signs of the dinosaur corpse or any of the people that were in the room with you.
The dinosaur corpse is gone.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Can I see any drag marks from? Because obviously the dinosaur was bleeding. Can I see that it's been dragged anywhere?
Roll me another investigation check.
This dinosaur's going to let me down again now, because I didn't want it to be too much then.
natural one.
Nope, opposite.
Oh, nice, cool. That is the last time you're allowed to use that dice. No. Cannot see anything that indicates that the dinosaur was dragged out of this room. Kind of sitting and looking through the ferret's eyes, based on what you saw of the dinosaur and the kind of the size of the door frame between the little room and this kind of bigger room at the back of the shop, you wouldn't know how they would get an entire corpse through that. So normally you can assume that they would cut it up into pieces and then ferry it downstairs. But yeah, it doesn't seem like the corpse was dragged out of here, and there doesn't appear to be enough blood that it was butchered in this room to be taken down for kind of further processing.
Is a teleportation circle underneath it?
Yeah, you can see from where you guys shifted the pallets previously, the kind of edge of the teleportation circle is still sticking out.
But it doesn't look like a corpse has been dragged to the teleportation circle.
No, the Triceratops arrived kind of directly on the teleportation circle previously.
Okay. I need to make this teleportation circle work. I don't know how. I'm just gonna have my ferret run around the teleportation circle really, really fast to see if it hits 70 miles an hour, it will teleport.
You broke up quite a lot during that.
I'm gonna get
The ferret's running around the teleportation circle.
Yeah, run around
Yep.
to see if it hits 70 miles an hour, if it'll teleport.
It's 88 miles an hour.
Roll an athletics check for the ferret. Let's see how fast it gets.
It's the Usain Bolt of ferrets.
13.
Cool. Runs around for a good 5 minutes as fast as it physically can, and then you can just feel it kind of just sit and kind of slouch on the floor, kind of breathing quite heavily.
I'm gonna look for any hidden switches that activate the teleportation circle, because I don't know how they work.
Okay, roll me another investigation check.
14.
Okay. Looking around, kind of getting the ferret to dig under the tarp, moving between the pallets, kind of on the floor. Doesn't see any switches or anything under there that would indicate it. Kind of moves around the room, looking kind of at the walls and stuff. Again, doesn't appear to be any sort of switches or anything.
I'm gonna send him to the fridge.
Okay. Back down the stairs, leaps over the semi-destroyed door, and kind of sits in front. You can see the kind of the fridge door, the massive kind of self-closing handle still attached to the front of it. This door seems to be kind of mostly made of metal that you can see. It has got scorch marks on it, but seems to be mostly intact.
Can I, through my ferret, smell the Dragonborn and where he went?
Okay, roll me a perception check. I'll give you advantage.
Dragon ferret.
11.
11. Smelling around, seems to be like there's a kind of common scent around this room. The ferret kind of runs back upstairs and can smell it more heavily in this room. But you can't exactly kind of pinpoint a kind of smell trail, as it were. It just seems to be more heavily focused in this room, as if this was the last place that the Dragonborn was.
They all went poo through the teleportation circle. I am going to get ferret to scratch and destroy teleportation circle.
Roll me another athletics check.
Go ferret.
15. Ferret rolls
15.
better than me, so let's go. Ferret's on everything from now
MVP ferret.
It does kind of start with the bits that are clearly visible that aren't under the pallets, and does seem to kind of try and scratch through. Defaces kind of the wood of the floor, but doesn't seem to deface the actual kind of sigil.
Damn it. Maybe he
Probably got
wasn't
time.
eating children.
You got time to try one more thing before the rest of the party start arriving.
I'm gonna have him search for any magical books.
Any what? Sorry?
Books which may contain magic.
Books that may contain magic.
Yeah.
Okay, are you using detect magic?
No, I'm just looking.
Okay, cool. Roll me another investigation check, please.
9.
Okay. Having pretty much thoroughly searched these two rooms upstairs, Ferret runs back downstairs, runs to the front of the store, kind of looking under the counters and stuff. Does find a few kind of ledgers and books of kind of incomings and outgoings of kind of just literally nudging or clawing open a page through, because you're seeing through the eyes. You can see kind of different names and kind of amounts and stuff, but doesn't seem to find anything kind of beyond those.
Damn it.
About this time, Ash coming in from Undercliff, kind of walking through, knowing things the way they are, kind of gets to the end of the side road that the Butcher's is on. Roll me a perception check, please, Ash.
9.
Okay.
I rolled a 3.
I mean, in that case, that's pretty good. You don't see kind of any of the rest of your comrades down the side street or kind of on the main street. But you
I'm
do see
currently in
people
dog form.
about. Yeah,
So
you
can
are.
I
Yeah.
smell out anyone?
Okay. Based on that, you do smell Nisra's scent kind of recently down the side street.
I'll follow it down.
Okay. It stops for a second out the front of the store, and then you kind of smell it continuing round, and you get to the end of the alleyway you guys were in previously, and you can just see Nisra's form just lay in the alleyway, kind of slumped up against the wall, looking almost passed out.
Can I smell any alcohol?
Only what appear to be the remnants from yesterday.
I'm gonna go up and press the cold dog nose to her arm.
Oh, worst thing. Oh, especially when you're sleeping, that's awful.
I'm
The
gonna
other
have
option
that
was to cock a
ferret.
leg.
Cool. Avondel, Mary Jane, and Coda, you guys enter the field ward through kind of what was originally the main gate of the city, heading down the main street towards the side road that you know the Butcher's is on. As Nisra, you feel this cold, wet kind of something pressed against your arm in your real body. The sensation is very weird in that you're physically still in your body, but kind of mentally you're still seeing through the ferret's eyes. It's very disconcerting and weird. But yeah, this very strange sensation very rapidly kind of occurs in your mind.
I'll snap at a ferret and back into me.
Okay, you see this kind of... Ash, describe your dog for me.
I'm the kind of the wiry terrier, the gas pod look.
So yeah, in this way, you are faced really close with this dog in the alleyway.
Oh, cute! I squeak.
Three of you walking down the main street, come to the side road that the Butcher's is on. You can see the barricade kind of covering half the street in front of the Butcher's. What do the three of you like to do?
I would probably want to head down towards Nisra and then possibly let me just have a look at something.
I'll handle the
Bloody hell.
point that I've been carrying.
How big is the shop as a total, as far as I know? Is it sort of 30 feet?
Yeah, so it's kind of like, seems to be kind of 30, 35 feet across, kind of the store frontage. And then based on what you guys have seen of the inside, it's probably about 55-ish deep. Kind of the small, kind of maybe a third of it is kind of the front of the shop, and upstairs is that kind of little sitting room that you were in previously with the table and chairs, and then the rest of it is the two big back rooms. But you guys do not see Ash or Nisra in the crowd around you.
I'd probably go looking for Nisra.
Okay.
I mean,
I'd say to the others, I think we should probably find Nisra.
it's
Probably for the best.
the best,
Wasn't doing
best
damage.
probable option. I mean, where would we assume she's going to be in this place?
The burnt out shop.
Yeah, most likely probably fridge. I say I mean, the quickest route to the fridge without a crowd is probably through the back zone before. I mean, that's how we got there every other time, and I mean, we walked in and out about, well, I feel like members of the group walked in and out at least 5 times from that before anyone noticed anything was up, so... And it's got a good shelter from the front street, just in case any passes by. I'd probably say the back way is probably the best point to call, right?
Let's do it then.
Certainly.
Okay.
Let's go.
Nisra and Ash, as you two kind of look at each other, Nisra giving the dog scratches, you guys see the three remaining members of your party appear at the end of the alleyway, kind of walking towards you, kind of like, oh yeah, it's got to be down. And that kind of moment of realization of course, she sat on the floor in an alleyway and screeching stray dogs.
Hi.
Hi.
Fun friends.
Made us
Yeah.
I shall call him Fluffy.
Is he happy with that name?
I'm just going to shake the head.
He doesn't.
I don't think so. I've had a thought. I've got a few spells I can try to and alleviate your fears. Might be best if we actually go inside the shop though.
Do you want a pint?
Oh my god.
Guys, I don't think this
Woof.
is actually Nissa. I think this is an imposter. She's refused a pint, guys. She's refused a free pint. There's something wrong.
It's not free.
I'm going to do the doggy begging.
Oh look, he's so well trained.
I think you need to give the dog the beer.
Alright, I flicked
Woof.
the top and put the pint on the floor for the dog.
The dog drinks the pipe.
That's one hell of a constitution on that dog.
Yeah.
I'll scratch the dog while he's drinking the pint.
Okay.
I feel like this dog belongs with us. It's like he's part of the team already.
Woof.
Did that dog just say woof?
I think the dog literally said woof.
I didn't. That's really confusing. Dog, what would you like your name to be?
In the dirt, can I scratch out the name Ash?
You can certainly roll a dexterity-based performance check to find out.
18.
Nice. You very successfully managed to scratch out Ash in the dirt, and you guys just see the dog write the word Ash.
Hey, this dog wants to be called Ash, just like our
We've got a friend called Ash.
yeah, just like our friend.
Well, we can't have two ashes in the group, but this one is cuter, so we'll keep this one. this one's not an elf. So cool. Right, Nisra, have you discovered any children's bodies in there?
Right, stay with me here.
Oh no, I'm already lost.
No.
It's good. Fine. No, that's the answer I was looking for. Right, we can move on.
I'd like to take Nisra by the hand and just sort of pull her into the shop.
No, let's not go into the shop. That's a silly idea. You burn the shop down. Going back into it is daft. I gave some of this meat to the beggars on the streets here. They know this district better than anybody. They know all the rumours. They were happy to take the meat. If it was made of dead, kidnapped children, even they wouldn't have taken it. I think it's fairly safe to assume that the missing children have not ended up in the body of a red dragonborn.
Nisra, do you need any more convincing?
Right, stay with me here.
Ah, Jesus.
As a dog, I'm just gonna put one paw, like.
Yes, Ash, I feel your pain.
There aren't any evidence. There aren't any evidence.
Mm-hmm.
There isn't any evidence
Uh-huh.
of dead children.
Good. Cool.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to hear.
But
Good.
Oh god.
there was a dinosaur.
Yes.
Yes, I saw the dinosaur.
Yes.
We're all aware there's a dinosaur.
Yes.
Yes, we're very much sure there's a dinosaur.
I have inside knowledge that dinosaur has just disappeared.
And how did you get this inside knowledge?
And I'm gonna like telepathically tell Mr. Jingles to come over.
Mr. Jingle.
Mr. Jingles.
Okay.
Okay. You guys just see this ferret crawl from under the gate door at the back and kind of scurry on over to Nisra.
Ah, okay, I see. You have a familiar.
What Coda said, not what you said.
Ah.
Yeah.
You have a familiar. Okay, cool. Well,
Nisra, I have the spell locate object.
Locate a way to get through the teleportation circle.
No, never mind that for a second. If there was something to do with the children that I could locate close to here, say within like 30 feet or something, if I couldn't detect anything to do with dead children in this area, would you then leave this whole concept of the red dragonborn eating children alone?
I just want to point out here, before we do that, I feel like we should make it more specific than just children bones. Because I feel like there might be children in the area. So, just finding bones inside already alive children may not be the best use of a spell slot in our time. Can you be specific and say dead children bones?
Let me just look at the wording of this spell. Alternatively, the spell can locate the nearest object of a particular kind, such as a certain kind of apparel, jewelry, furniture, or weapon. The spell can't locate an object if any thickness of lead, even a thin sheet, blocks a direct path between you and the object. So, I would imagine if I specified bones, comma, dead children,
I like it.
we might sort of get somewhere. Although I think to satisfy Nisra, we're going to have to open all the doors, including the fridge.
I believe the correct syntax is punctuation mark bones and punctuation mark dead children. Otherwise, you're finding bones or dead children.
At least we're educational.
Yeah. Locate object is locate object was on the Boolean search system.
Hey guys, subscribe if this is the content you're after.
Next week, Bren talks the English language.
I'm just going to spend like 4 seconds or so meditating to my god, Corellon, otherwise known as the DM, to see if this is applicable.
You can certainly always waste a spell slot and see if it works. Yeah, definitely do that. The ferret climbs and sits on top of the dog. At this point, just kind of gets bored and, being the familiar of Nisra the Chaotic, just sits on top of the dog for a second and kind of like just nuzzles into the neck.
I'm fine with this.
Mr. Jingles.
Okay, so I'm going to head actually into the butcher's itself.
Okay.
Stand in an area as open as I can, but with the door into the refrigerated area open and with a line of sight into that area. And then I'll cast Locate Object on Bones, Dead Children.
Okay. This is not. Surprisingly,
we're breaking
it comes
him.
back negative.
Nisra, there's nothing here with regard to Dead Children Bones. Does that help?
I hear you.
Just to double check, DM. Locate object isn't at 1,000 feet. I just want to make sure there's nothing in the 1,000 feet area.
It is 1,000 feet. Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Just wanted to double check.
I hear you. I've now gone off the dead children thing because I want to go through this teleportation circle.
I believe you owe 10 gold.
Yeah, to be honest, I think you owe 10 gold.
There's 10 gold.
Thank you.
But anyone else intrigued about the teleportation
Oh,
circle?
100%. I just
Oh,
don't
I
we're
am.
all on the
Is
same
it-
page for something.
Is it still intact?
Yeah, Mr. Jingles tried to scratch it and destroy it, and it didn't work.
Good. Okay. Let's have a look.
And Red Dragonborn is through it.
I imagine so. If the dinosaur has disappeared, it won't come out the building through a door. Too big.
Well, yeah, obviously. It's not anything I considered possible.
It was a very big dinosaur.
It was.
Very heavy dinosaur as well.
I imagine so.
That was such an on-point character move. It really was.
So, I mean, I don't know much about magic, but can anyone operate a teleportation circle at this point?
I don't know.
I'm not sure. I can't at the moment.
Yeah, I was going to say, I assume that is quite a high magic that it takes a lot of time to learn, right?
But I feel because it's there, it's a direct link. It's not like you're casting the spell to make the teleportation circle. The teleportation circle is already there. We just need to activate it. Surely.
True. I don't know. I don't know much about how magic works. I only have a sprinkling. Unfortunately, long racial historic past. I don't really understand it.
Can I cast Augury?
Yes, you certainly can. Give me a second, let me bring it up.
So it's the results of a specific course of action that you plan to take within the next 30 minutes. Can I specify planning to go through this teleportation circle?
You need components that you use up for that.
I do, and I did at some point buy some sticks for augury purposes.
Planning ahead.
I remember you buying them.
It's a good spell. Never gets used.
That's planning.
That involves the sticking to a plan.
There is that.
Sorry, I just went offline for a moment there.
That's all right. I'm still trying to look up the spell.
Spell doesn't take into account any possible circumstances that might change the outcome, such as the casting of additional spells or the lost gain of a companion. If you cast
How do you spell it?
Augry.
Yeah.
Okay.
The more you know.
It's in the chat.
Sweet.
We know.
Oh, sweet.
Okay.
Good reading out for the chat.
So you want to know if going through the teleportation circle would be a good or bad idea, basically.
Yeah.
Using that spell.
I
Okay.
think we all know the answers to that.
Excellent.
Yeah, what could possibly go wrong?
Exactly.
You definitely get wheel, and you definitely get woe.
I don't think going through here at the moment is a good idea. This is after I've stood up after casting.
Yeah.
It's taken a minute to cast, so it's obvious that I've been casting.
What makes you say that?
The spell I just cast, augury, it's given me a bit of insight into how things will turn out, and it's not really generally good.
Is it Baz?
That tends to be the not generally good.
Can I insight check that?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, it's a solid 3.
Cool. Clearly lying to you and going through the circle can only end well.
Why did you do this to us, Toby?
She asked for the inside jet.
You
That's just
don't
like
wanna
kicking
have
the
any
hornet's
fun.
nest.
It would be amazing, and you're just lying to us.
I'm not. If you want to go through the teleportation circle by yourself and configure a way to do that, go ahead. I'm staying here. You guys, stay here.
I'm gonna find a way how to do it.
I'm going to lie down and put both paws over my eyes.
See, the dog believes me.
Best Ash is best. Should we actually go find Ash though?
Yeah,
I mean, old Ash.
do that.
Wasn't Ash?
He'll turn up when he needs
Yeah,
to.
just having a look for plants. I assume still harvesting, right?
It's been like 2 hours. I don't know, how long does it take to harvest plants?
I mean, it takes a while.
Oh, okay.
You have to find like specific spots where they grow, and it's not like you can ask someone who, you know, where someone is. You just have to kind of walk around and try and find shit.
That sounds boring.
It's therapeutic sometimes.
I need a drink.
I mean, I offered you one, but the dog seems to jump on board.
Yeah. We'll leave it alone for now. But what do you guys want to do then?
I think it's fairly safe to say that this Dragonborn isn't guilty of what you're saying he's guilty of.
But he's guilty of something.
Yeah,
Illegal import?
illegal import and being a genuinely horrific kind
That would be my guess.
humanoidish.
Okay, that'll do for now.
Have you still got that list of rules that they gave us when we saw the police officers? Does it say anything about illegally importing a dinosaur via teleportation circle?
I never read that.
Pretty sure you guys used them as toilet paper at some point.
It's definitely time.
Yeah.
Tom had a copy of
Oh, I'll never read this.
It
It's
was
not
good paper.
important.
Like, if he's found a workaround to bring dinosaur meat into the city against like tax rules and stuff, then fair play to him. I think. Like, it's tasty meat. We all had dinosaur burgers last night. It'd be hypocritical of us to turn him in for tax evasion.
Yeah, but he
So
was
the
a
great
dick
are
to those
good.
kids. I'm not saying he's eaten the kids, but he was a dick to those kids.
Oh, he was, and he burnt his fucking shop down. So I think at this point, we are, probably even.
If you want to make the point clear, send them a letter saying the shop burnt down because you were a dick to those kids.
Okay, I'll
Just-
get out some paper and write a note.
Don't
Just
do that.
don't sign
Can
it,
we
but just sort
not
of.
just do that?
Too late.
I can pick up the letter. The only reason is the burning down was a specific choice of method to prove a point.
Yeah.
It specifically chose fire given whom he was.
So
So
I feel like he got accidentally set on fire. Things like that happen around us.
yes, but I was kind of hoping it wouldn't be insinuated. So writing a note saying you were a dick to these, this is why your shop burnt down, it's kind of counterintuitive as to why it was incriminating towards burning it. So how about we kind of just leave this here, put a pin in that idea, and when we see him again, you can tell him face to face, or you can tell him message to message from 120 feet away, whatever you prefer. But let's not leave incriminating evidence in the crime scene of potentially where we've all been and are currently hanging around.
So what you're saying is, if we had a magical means to tell him that it was because he was being a dick, that his shop burned down, then that would be all right.
Oh,
Do
100%. I mean, I wanted to
anything
make sure he's aware
stupid.
so he doesn't come back.
Okay, we can do that tomorrow.
Stupid.
We can do that tomorrow.
No.
Yeah, I can do that tomorrow.
I mean,
Awesome.
I would prefer it if we didn't contact him at all. I feel like he gets the point. But I'm just saying, if you want to leave a note, please don't leave a handwritten one that's clearly evidenced.
Let's look at my point. Alright, this is empty. Again, one. I'm gonna wander off and find a pub.
Okay. You know of two in the area.
Yeah, I'll go to them.
I'm going to loudly recommend that I go to the bathhouse and leave.
I'm gonna try and find a library.
Okay.
I'm going to wander off when no one's looking.
No.
And once I'm out of sight of everyone, I'm going to turn back into ash.
Still double
Okay.
pause over the eyes.
Alright, are you going to go to the Otters? We're going to go to Laurel.
I'll go to the Otters Run. See
Okay.
if the bards are still playing.
Okay. So Coda's going to go Otters Run. Ash is going to go change back into himself. And what's the plan from there? Coda says he's going to the pub, so...
I'm going to head towards the pub.
Okay. Nisra is going to go looking for a library, which I don't know what to do with that. That seems very out of character, but that's fine. Hey. What's your plan, Bundle?
If that seems to be the end of things here, I'll probably head back to the blacksmith to start making good on my payment.
Okay, cool. Nisra, give me because you're not from the city, give me a charisma-based investigation check, please.
9.
Cool. Asking the very much kind of more looked down upon, hard-working, labor area of the city where a library is, gets you some weird looks and some rude remarks. You probably spend about 20-25 minutes wandering around asking people before finding yourself at the gate into the city proper. While the rest of you walk into the Otter's Run, you do see 2 members of the band that you met previously, the Sparrowhawk Storm. Just sat having a meal, drinking, not currently playing. The guy behind the bar recognized you guys from yesterday. It's like, oh, same again?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Okay. And literally pours you like 2 carafes of ale, brings over a couple of cups and puts it all on a table for you guys. Ash walks in a few minutes later as self, and that's where you guys are currently at. And looking at the time, I feel like that's probably a good place to leave it. We've got some stuff to carry on with next session. A weird scene where we're going to be in a library, possibly with Nisra, looking stuff up.
There is logic behind it.
I'm a little bit scared, but really, I'm also really excited because this could be going a couple of different ways, and I'm quite excited by that. And you guys, once again, chilling out in a tavern called the Otter's Run with gut-wrenching ale.
Yeah.
Thank you very much tonight, guys. Wow, I love you, group. Thank you very much for anyone that is watching on YouTube. We'll probably be here in another week or 2 because we don't have to only play monthly because we can do this anytime over the internet, and it's great. Hopefully, we will also have our 6th cast member at some point, who I miss dearly.
Yeah.
Thalgor. Yeah, Thalgor, we miss you, and hopefully for next time we'll be sorted. Right. Anyone want to sign off? Anyone want to be associated with this in real life?
Well, thank you very much everyone for joining us. If you did enjoy the content, please look at the other videos we've got, and also anyone else's channel who currently is on screen. I know Toby does a lot of on-screen D&D stuff you can catch online. Guys, if you have anything you want to plug, let us know. But please do like and subscribe, and join us again for our next session of perfectly cut D&D story. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.